Okay, good morning. Right, you started early, I started early. I'm one of these, need to get there. At airports, I'm a disaster. My wife just goes to some cafe in an airport and leaves me to sit 2 hours beforehand at the gate. I'm one of those people. So I was here at 9:15, and if I'd known that the senior session was on, I would have watched it a bit more, see what the crack was. But the idea of Joe and me, Letterkenny, I'm a lot older than Joe. Retired now from teaching, and he was the youngest coach there all that time ago. So all we're going to do today is we're going to do a wee bit of a session in here, maybe 45 minutes. I'll not tell you how it unfolds, so that it'll be a surprise to you. We'll take it from there with a group of footballers out here and see what happens after that. Happy enough? Okay, right, so this might read a wee bit presumptuous of me that this is games coaching and you're going to get to better yourself, your sessions and your players. And it may not be that. It may be that you simply, during today, get an affirmation that you're doing exactly what is written on the tin, or you're doing more than that. It could be one of those situations where you think, right, I already do that. And in fact, I do more. Absolutely. Come and tell me if it is the case. If you're not doing it, then think about some of the things that we do to see, would I adopt that as part of my coaching? So anyway, let's start this. There's a bit of nepotism all in this here and there, but this is my boy here on the left, and he's coaching, or one of my boys, Michael, and he's coaching here at Marafelt. He's now in Australia, doing a bit of playing with McAnallans and doing a bit of coaching as well. But what I want you to do is read that. All right, so we're going to have players. This might come as a bit of a shock, and people with a sharp end take a breath thinking, oh my God, Joe, you told me this boy was doing the whole thing, and now it looks as if we're doing stuff. Well, not really. I need you to coach, but I need to coach in a very safe environment. I'll run the games, and I'll give you opportunities to observe, and then you step in, and I'll not be leaning over your shoulder, nor will anybody else. You'll be talking to players, or you'll be asking questions of players, and we'll see what unfolds. But the main thing is you have to practice certain elements of your coaching skills. Now, a salutary lesson that I learned about players and management and coaching is basically this. They just may not see the game as you do. Now, an example, way left field, a story. There's a guy who taught me, still teaching in St. Pius' Marafelt where I taught, called John Heaney. He's a character. He's in the same club as Paddy Bradley, Glenullen. So it's a rural club, and they run a variety of different things around the club. And one year they were running a carnival. So carnivals were the big thing around the rural clubs, where people came and you maybe opened a pitch or whatever you did, and you attracted local teams to play and raise a bit of money around the club. So part of the carnival was an under-14 game between Glenullen under-14s and Drumcerne under-14s, another rural club, right, with struggling for numbers. So they're playing away, and Glenullen are dominating the game, totally dominating the game. And when they're dominating the game, the ball doesn't come over the halfway line at all for this 10-minute each way game or 15-minute each way game. And Glenullen are parked in the Drumcerne half. Drumcerne can't get it over. So at one point in the second half, the ball is just booted up the field. Straight big boot up the field towards the Glenullen goals, where it has never been for the rest of the match. And everybody that's watching the match turns around, and Pascal is supposed to be in goals, but Pascal is nowhere to be seen, right? And they check just round the area, and then somebody declares that they've seen Pascal. He's third in line for the ice cream van. That is true. He just decided there's nothing happening in this. He got 50p off his dad, and he went over and he was in line for the ice cream van. So what players view as this is happening, I need to be ready for this, and what we think could be totally different. And you expect that. You expect that all the time. So my point is, when you're coaching, be patient. There are ice cream vans everywhere in your coaching. People are distracted. Just relax. Be patient with them. They'll come round. Now, we're going to look at the 3 games. So whenever we run games out here, no matter what games, I'm just throwing up some diagrams that I have. I might run some of those games, maybe not. Whenever we run these games, they all become, for you today, opportunities to coach. Now, you won't coach in all of them. We're not going to throw people in and fire them at minors with 20 people coming and 20 people coming in on individual minors. We're not going to do that. We're going to split you up in a minute. But there's lots of different things you're going to be able to do. Maybe wee bits and pieces of them. But you see, all of these that are praying here, you will get an opportunity somewhere today to praise, to listen, to fix something, to suggest something, to get somebody to adopt a role. It might be somebody in your coaching group that does that. It may not directly be you. If there are 2 things that you really need to be doing in all of this, it's these 2. We've got to practice a lot more observation. Before jumping in, we've got to practice a lot more watch and let the game unfold and see what happens. Now, in a normal circumstances, you might have 10 minutes to watch and let the game unfold. Here, they're potted versions of it, so we're going to do 3 minutes at a time or thereabouts. Then you're going to get a chance to step in. But in that 3 minutes, what I'm trying to push at you is the idea of, if there are 4 people in a group of coaches, and it's their game that they're in charge of, and I'm running the game out there, or refereeing the game, then all I need you to do for those first 3 or 4 minutes is to step back, watch what's happening. You'll have wee cues to go on, but just take it all in. Take it all in. Discuss with whoever's beside you. Don't coach. Don't coach. And then when we take a break, that's your place to coach. And then in the second part, you can observe again and add a wee bit of vocals to it there, if you wish. And I'm not going to coach over the top of you or correct you one way or another. You will have cues to go and look for. So, there's a big phrase running around now, it's let the game be the teacher. I'm sure you've heard it. It permeates a lot of sports. But it was a response to too much work being done, as they thought, through drills and cones and drills and drills and drills. Now, a lot of this was scaremongering. It was a bit like, you're not doing all this, so you need to be getting away entirely from this and onto something else. So whenever that happens, and you don't get in there and temper the thing, what happens all the time is you end up people taking extremes. So some of you will remember, quite a few will remember ladders. Remember ladders coming in? Remember SAQ? Right, so the ladders all came in at that stage, and at one, anybody, oh, that fills up. The ladders came in, and they were probably meant for 6, 7, 8 minutes or 10 minutes work on them, this, that, and the other. But I was going to places and people saying, oh, we did a ladder session last night, the boys might be tired. And I was saying, right, okay, right. What do you mean ladder session? Oh, there were 50 minutes, we did 50 minutes on the ladders, and you're thinking, oh my God. I mean, they just went clean mad on ladders because they were there. So they moved entirely away from one type of coaching to this new thing that came in. Now, sometimes I think we go that way in games. We're decrying all drills. Drills are now a disaster. They're the devil. But they're not. You use drills like anything else. It's just how you use them. So my main thing would be, don't let the game just be your teacher. Let it be your indicator. Let a game be your indicator of a variety of different things. Things like this. Who's going well out there? Who needs help? What's working for us? Is there anything we need to change? Do we need to modify it? What do we need to do? Is there anybody who has an idea of what we'd do? Maybe as a player has an idea. There's lots of stuff like that. Can we improve what we're seeing, or are we happy enough? So the game allows you to be an indicator of those things, to trigger things in your head. Is that okay? Right. So, now, I want you to watch this wee clip. We'll run it 2 or 3 times. But this is Marfeld under-16s against Dungiven. Played in championship. But before I show you it, the push for Marfeld under-16s, run by 2 guys in particular, Enda Quinn and Murta O'Brien, was to stand back and watch for these things. Watch for things habits that permeated Marfeld's play at under-16 level. And just see, would anything come up that they really had to think of changing entirely. So you'll see this attack, and this was the main thing that killed Marfeld most of the time. So just watch, you see, I'll run it and let you see what you pick up. So we're in red. We just lost the ball. Okay? Now, if I run it again, some people will have different ideas. Just as I run it again, just have a chat to somebody about what you think is the problem. Go. Don't talk to me, just talk away. All right? Now, I'm not gonna ask people and go around and say, it's like death by feedback. What did you think? What did you think? What do you think? But I'm telling you that the biggest problem we had was bunching ahead of the ball, right? Right through. Bunching ahead of the ball was our big problem. And when that happened, when we were bunching ahead of the ball, it just killed off so many attacks for us, or people coming across. So you've just seen a couple of players there, and you've just seen a couple of players come across here. And if I scroll that back, and this is Connell coming from the number 2 position, Connell Heron, he's coming through. The first sign of him having to change direction isn't that the guy's catching him. He's probably still the same distance from him. But it's that in front of him, Dara and Oren have just cut across his path, right? Just out of habit, they've just cut across his path. Now, the best thing for this that we would have pointed out would have been, you see the 2 guys you just did the cut across from right to left? They're not natural left footers. What they're doing there, God knows. They just ran across. So if he had given them the ball, they're not 2-footed, they would have had a check back anyway. But that just shows the typical thing that was happening in Marfelt right through to senior level. But we're taking the under-16s. So they did a lot of work on it, and they opened it up. But I have to tell you, remember the bit I said, what players think and what you think, or what players imagine about the game and you imagine about the game could be totally different. They took it all on board, but you see this match here? That was 2 weeks ago. That was the championship semi-final. So they had opened it up on different matches, but they had just gone back, and it's the old thing of habit is stronger than reason. So they had been allowed to get away with habits like that, and if you let players get away with habits, at some point it'll kick back in and they'll just go back on habit rather than the reason. They know it's not the place to be, but they did it anyway. So that was 2 weeks ago. And we videoed them and just gave them some clips. I just edit the videos, put them on Huddle, slow them down, maybe do a voiceover for them, and then I give it to them. I don't go in and talk to them at all. It's their managers and their coaches do that. So Murda and Enda would have gone through this. What I put up on Twitter the other day was true. They came and they played Lavey in the under-16 county final the other night. They scored 4 goals. One was a complete fluke. It was just launched in and the keeper let it through his hands. And the other 3 all came from opening up that middle. So opening up that runway to let people go through. The only person who moved was Michael Mackay, and he moved away and he made his fullback think, where will I go? But the other boys just brought everybody in with them. In fact, Dara Wade, this guy here, you can see, he was double teamed because he's supposed to be the star player. Edit that out, the bit about supposed to be, right? In case it ever gets up north, right? So they were double teaming him. So he not only brought 1 person with him, he brought 2 into Connell's path. But by the final, the good thing about it was they had learnt again, and they were at it, and they scored 3 goals from it. So there's always a challenge, but there's always a way through. Is that okay? Right? So the session that we're going to do, there's really a situation here where we're going to have 3 elements to this. Players, we need coaches, and we need 3 of us. So Darren and Joe and myself, we're going to take various roles on, and that the boys don't know the roles yet, but they're going to take various roles on. Right? So I prefer that you're not in a coaching group. Is that okay? That you're just assisting, and we're all doing that. So prep, first bit of prep. We have to form 4 coaching teams of people in here. Now, if you prefer not to be in a coaching team, you think, oh my God, the pressure, this guy's going to ask me this and this and this, just chill out about it. You don't have to be in a coaching team, but we do need 4 coaching teams right now. So we need to take 3 or 4 minutes to say, right, split up that. And if you do honestly think I'd rather observe the whole session, say so. So I'm going to opt out at the minute, and Joe and Darren will sort you out into 4 coaching teams and maybe observers, whatever you wish. Okay? Go ahead. Okay. Right, so where's group 1? Where's group 1? You're going to change to become group A, because it just fits what I have up here. Group A, 2s, where are the 2s? Group B, 3s. Group C and D's, or the 4s, group D. Okay, so what are we going to do? You're going to take charge of coaching, 1 game each. I'll run the game. The 4 games are these. You may have played them before, you may not have. So, first one is an asymmetrical game. Next one's a game just called 4-line challenge. Another one is 6 and switch. And the last one is this bib says. All right, so we're going to outline those fairly quickly to you. If you've got anything to jot down stuff on, it will be what I need you to encourage, etc. If you haven't in a group, we just need one person in a group. If there's no group, if there's a group with no stuff to write down or check it out or even record it on your phone, that's grand. Just get that sorted now so that you know who's doing what. Now, the people who are not involved directly with a game, like if you're in Group D and I'm going through the asymmetrical game, it's only going to take me 3 or 4 minutes going through it because I'll do all the explanation of it to the players when we're out there. Right, so every game we're going to look for these things here. We need each game looked at from the terms of how it works. I'll do that with players. You'll be looking at things to encourage. You'll be looking at things to watch for. Who to work with, just a variety of different things. But I'll give you cues on those now so that you are well equipped going out. So the asymmetrical game is this. Have you played it before? Anybody? No? No? Right. So we're going to set up an area roughly like that out on the Astro. We're going to set up an area that's got a 40-meter end line here, a 10-meter wide end line there, and it fans out into that shape with about 60, 70 metres of distance along the sidelines. We're going to play no more probably than a 4v4 or a 5v5 in there. So there will be players resting. And the good thing about that is I don't like firing all players in for the sake of, right, they've got to be in for the activity, they've got to be in for the activity. They can learn as well, if not better, observing a game, the same as you can. So what happens in here, 4v4 or 5v5, we're going to run it in the normal fashion. And if you cross the 40-meter line with the ball, you score a point. So if you get across, if the ball goes across that line with one player, you get a point. You can then keep possession of that ball and attack the 10-meter line. And if you cross the 10-meter line with the ball, you get 2 points. And you can continue to keep possession as long as the other team cannot get the ball from you. That's all right. We'll run it like that. Now, inevitably, teams will take the ball off you. What I need from your group in terms of coaching is this. You've got to look for these things first and foremost. You're looking for, if they're attacking the 10-meter line, it's got to be quick because you can't allow people to set up. If they're going back there and you allow people to set up in that small area, you're just killing your own attack. You need to encourage width. Watch for width going towards the 40-meter line. When you're in a break, encourage player discussion. Even somebody to ask questions to say, what do you think? How did we attack the 40-meter line? How did we attack the 10-meter line? Draw it out of them. If it comes to the bit where you're thinking, look, we have to tell them pace or we have to tell them width here, well, so be it. But try and draw it out of them. And your resting players, keep them near you so that they're learning too. So if we end up with 20 minors out there and we go 5v5 in here and you have a 5v5 sitting waiting to go on, well then don't let them wander about anywhere. Have them near you and talk to them about the width and the pace that you need or whatever. Is that fair enough? Okay. What you're going to watch for are players who attack narrow or laterally. And what I mean by that is players who will come towards the 40-meter line and all stay narrow. And they'll leave this huge gap out because they're yes, and they're off the shoulder. Everybody wants to be off the shoulder. They don't realize there's 3 others want to be off the shoulder too. Right? Or the players who attack laterally, in other words, they're going towards the 10-meter line and they just throw the ball left and right like a rugby line. Watch for them. They're people you might need to target. Players who are slow to switch mode. So the player who's on the attack, the team loses the ball and it's just arms in the air or problem. The rest of you sort that out. I'll wait here for the next ball coming up. The other thing that'll happen in all these games is look for players who think they all have to get over the line. So a 4v4 in there, they think the ball has to go over the line and they have to go over with it. It only takes one player to go over, so watch for them getting clever. Don't encourage them to start. See who's clever enough to go, I'm not needed there. I'll take up a position nice and wide, further up the field, available for a kick pass. Is that okay? So the big thing in your observation, and even the observation when you're not in part of this game, just watch for it. Look for those things. Then when you get a chance to step in, decide who's going to speak. Maybe take players, separate them, one take one team, or two take one team, two take another. Talk to them for a minute about what you've spotted, because you've had 3 or 4 minutes of me running the game while you're discussing, right, we need to mention about the width thing, we need to mention about the pace, we don't need to mention this. Is that okay? We don't know what's going to unfold, but I'll just run it, then I'll step out of the way, you talk, then I'll go in and run it again. Happy enough? Now remember, anybody who's not involved in that game, you're still coaching, as in you'll be in your groups and you'll be thinking, well, if we were in charge of this game, this is what we would do or we would look for. Okay? So we're going to run roughly that. We're not going to time it exactly. It'll be a 4v4, 5v5, 3 minutes on, 1 minute to talk to them, 3 minutes on again, then I'm going to fire in new teams. Right? Going to fire in new teams. Now, if we find that teams are getting cold and they've come here without tracksuit bottoms or anything else like that there, we'll know to take them out of the way and only have them watch the first bit and then go and warm up on another bit and then come back in. And that might be something that Joe and Darren, we might get you involved in as well. Is that all right? Just that, keep them active. And then repeat it. Right, 4-line challenge. Have we looked before we do anything else? This is second group here. So our 4-line challenge, if you look at the Reds, they're lined up on line A, and their basic job is to get that ball over 4 lines. Not the 4 lines that you can see there, but just back, forth, back, forth. So they're going, get that ball over this line, get it back over there, get it back over here, and get it back over here. That's their job, right? And again, it's just the ball that has to go over in possession, one player, and the rest can decide, I'm needed, I'm not needed. But watch to see, do they pick up on it. The people out to the side, we'll probably change this a wee bit in that we don't need to keep 2 on one side and 2 on another. We're going to keep maybe the 4 here. These are the defenders. They will feed in one by one. So when the Reds are making their first attack, they'll be facing one defender. It's a 3v1. It should be easy. We'll see, right? When they turn for their second attack, the second man's in, the third man's in, the fourth man's in. So if they get as far as their 4th line, or heading to their 4th line, they will be against a 4-man defense, and there'll be 3 of them. Is that okay? So that's their idea. Now, we'll just simply roll players through that, because we'll decide, oh, well, I'll pick them and see where they fit. But we'll be Reds who are always attacking, and the Blacks here, they'll always be defending, and then we'll switch it around. From your point of view, you're trying to encourage the following things, or look for these. You're looking for this, what I like to say, ahead, wide, decide. So how many players in that situation, when they're the 3 going forward, are going to get ahead of the ball and just ignore what's happening behind them to either stretch the defenders or to be in a situation where they're available for a pass? Or are they going to come out like a rugby backline? If you have defenders and you're looking at them, do they defend with depth, or do they all come in flat? So are they coming in staggered? What are they doing? Just watch the game unfold. That's the real exciting bit to see it. And again, resting learners. People who are not in, having a wee word with them. What are you going to watch for? Attackers who don't cross the line, but they do. Don't need to cross the line, but they do. So they're down. The 3 attackers are coming. The ball's already going to cross the line, but I'll just go across it too. No need for you to go across it too. That's gone. You should be somewhere else. So you look for those type of players who are just continuing to go with the ball and aren't needed. And defenders who are easily beaten, particularly because of their footwork. The people who take up that haka stance, who sit down there and they just see somebody coming at them and do that, and then they're gone, so they're just waving at them. So that just won't work for them. Look for people who just don't have any semblance of being able to tackle. Now, you're not going to change those people straight away, but it's something to take a note of. You happy enough? Right? Now, this might be scary, as in he's going to fire these things at us. We'll relax when we're out there. Don't worry about it. The way we're going to do it, we're just going to roll people in and out of this. So there'll be a group over there, and they'll be called attackers, but only 3 of them will work. Then another 3. And then if there's an overspill, we'll use 2 plus 1. I'll do all that. And then defending 4s, we'll fire those in 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Who decides on the time to let them in? Like, is there a certain line where you break them?
Yeah, so whenever the first 3 head, when they're heading off and they're 3, okay, 1's in. Once they've got the ball over that line, second man's in. So it's where the ball is. It's got to go over the line. So the second man won't go in.
It's gonna be in grids. Is the pitch gonna be in a grid?
No, it's just going to be in that big. I'm going to set out an area, a big 30 by 40 area.
Do the three players have to be kind of in, take the attacking half before they can go again? Or
No.
can you leave a player up?
They can leave the player up.
You can, okay.
The flexibility of all of this is watch for the fact that they probably won't leave a player up,
Yeah.
right? And they'll all follow. And watch for the fact that when the defenders come in, they'll come in a group and they'll stay tight to each other instead of one defender coming in as nearly a nose tackler and another one just coming in as cover. So let that all unfold in front of you.
Yeah.
And if we think the area is too small, we'll make it bigger. So we'll just work it that way. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Get the idea? Right, third one, 6 and switch. Have a look here just for a minute. Check out the black team. Now this will be longer because we'll play the length of this. You've posted either end. It's not portable posts or anything, Joe. Sure, it's not. Just posted either end. Yep, we can play this here. So in this one here, we're going to be in a situation where we're playing. If you look, there's 3 of the players from the black team are along the line. One of them's doing goals, 2 of them there, and 3 of them are playing out the field. And the same with the red team. And we're going to lengthen that. That'll be the full area that we'll use here, right? See what the crack. Now it'll be quite a tiring game for them to play, but we'll see how it unfolds. The idea behind it is any score by any team, the resting 3 become the active 3, and the active 3 must go back straight away into goal positions. So the 3 reds that are working there at the minute, if they score immediately, the other 3 reds are in play, and these 3 reds are going back to the end line. So there's chaos to the whole thing, and that's part of what I want you to look for. So again, encourage pace, width, how to take advantage of the chaos of all these things changing over. So how quickly can they decide I'm in and I'm going ahead of the ball, or I'm holding the width, I'm making a run from out to in. Just watch till you see it unfold. And how quickly do they change their roles, as in, we've lost the ball, we're away, we're back in. It's very intense. Players love playing it. Watch out for players who attack flat. In other words, they just go in that line again. They don't put anybody ahead of the ball. Players who converge and bunch, so it's me, yes. So they come right in and they could be covered by, a bit like the Marfeld forward line there. They could be covered by 4 players, could be covered by 2. So that, again, you don't have to worry about how the game works. You just have to look for players who play it well and players who are struggling, and decide in your group, what are you going to do about this? Are you going to step in the break? All right? You okay with that? And we're going to run something like that. 6v6, it could turn out 7v7. We could put 4 on the end, 3 working or 4 working. We'll see whether our numbers work. And the last one is this. This bib says, so Group D, you will have the advantage of watching all the other games. And by that stage, you'll have a flavour of what individual players are like, right? So we're going to play a straightforward game, but in this game, you're going to bib up 1 player from a team and 1 player from the other team. But you're going to give them specific instructions of what that bib is getting them to do. So it might be somebody who never got ahead of the ball. It might be somebody who tended to run in really tight for passes. It might be somebody who soloed the ball everywhere, that you want to effect some sort of change in them, right? So you're taking them aside with their team. You're putting a different coloured bib, if we can get a different coloured bib on them, and say, look, this bib says for the next 3 minutes, this is the role we want you to play, or the next 5 minutes is the role we want you to play. But you've got the 4 games or the 3 games before that to decide, there's our target player. If you think it's a good idea to maybe target a couple of players on a team, absolutely. But if you think, we'll just go with 1 for the sake of trying this, grand. You do it with the other team as well. So you don't know what you're going to target at the minute because you haven't seen them play. But eventually, when you do see them play, you'll have talked among each other to think, look, we really want to change that fella there to do such and such. Give him the bib, inform his own team, don't inform the others, and let them play. So, what are we looking for? We're looking for acceptance, the player, and acceptance that he'll wear the bib in the first place. Secondly, help from teammates so that they help his game. If he has to release the ball first time, there's somebody there for him. Encourage opponents on the other team to decipher what do you think the rule is for this player, and encourage the player that if you do take the bib off him, he goes on to practice that the same way. He needs practice afterwards. Okay? What to watch for? Players who find it difficult to break a habit. So you could ask somebody out here and give them a bib and say, we want you to stop solo run, we want you to play give and go, or we want you to give the ball and not go for the return, we want you to go on ahead to see if you get it later. And they might find it extremely hard to break that habit, and it becomes frustrating for them. And the other thing is, watch in case you get a player who cuts their involvement when bibbed. In other words, they're not huffing, but they're just not sure, so they don't really play in the game. That has happened a few times. So it's really up in the air about how it works and how well it will work. But again, in all of these, I'm running them. You're looking for opportunities to observe without coaching in your group, and then you know the minute is coming to come in and say a couple of things. You've got to work out who's going to say them, how important will they be, will we split and give one team to two people and one team to two other people. Make it short, concise, step out again, we'll run again. And then you observe again, and you can add in a wee bit of vocals there to say, Joe do this, or Peter do this, or whatever it is. Is that all right? So you're going to get that opportunity in that. Again, 5v5, 6v6, might even run more, might not swap them at all. We'll see what our numbers like and go from there. Now, coaching methods. Positive. Be positive, right? A word on the move in that second section where they're on again, you've already spoken to them. We're not stopping the game. It's not, Philip, stop the game a minute, because I won't anyway, but just you step in the middle of the play, we word with them, step out. Player prompts during the break, we note a reminder for later. Lastly, there's a guy, I was nerdy in teaching about research and things like that. I'm now retired, so I'm still as nerdy about research, but I like this guy, Doug Lemov. He's an American, so you have to take it with a pinch of salt at times, bit OTT, but he's really, really good. And one of the things was he looked at a thing called a culture of error. And he has written a book, he wrote a book, Teach Like a Champion, but he's now written a book, Coach Like a Champion, or Coach, I think it's Coach Like a Champion. But he talks about the culture of error. And if you ever get him on a podcast talking about the culture of error, Doug Lemov, fantastic. I think he talks to Dan Abrahams about it. So he talks about the culture of error as 4 key parts. Expect error. So as a coach, expect error to happen. It'll happen out there, right? And be happy with it. Secondly, withholding the answer. Don't just give them the answer straight away. If you can operate on a basis of, what do you think? Right, what about width? What do you think about width? Are we wide enough? And draw it out of them. Fantastic. If you have to give them the answer, grand. Managing your tell, as he calls it, which is, people that say that was a very telling reaction. It's like somebody says somebody, don't go out there, and somebody comes up with an idea. What do you think? And they come up with an idea and you go, really? It sort of gives it away. Don't ever speak to me again. But just sort of accept things and don't have a reaction that tells everybody else, no, that was a disaster of an answer. Keep it to yourself. And praise. So expect the culture of error to occur. That's the brilliant thing that I love about coaching. There are mistakes out there. Players can correct their own. Calm yourself. Observe for a while, because that could simply be a blip. And it might be something that will happen naturally. Okay? Very long-winded, but we're now in a position where we can go out. We're going to, as we set up the first game, we'll set it out. We'll need boys warmed up. Is that okay? In another part, or even right through the middle of it. You boys happy to do that? Right? And we'll take it from there. And then the other games are easy to set up each time. We'll give them a wee break. Any questions? No? Let's have a go.